like to welcome you to every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for your voice in my headset. It's a podcast on friendships. We're hitting this one early, actually, which you might go ahead and say, you might be watching this. If you're a man and you're watching this and you're like, it's early and there's women on it. And it's like, oh no, women can actually show up early. I mean, if they have something else they want to go to, they'll be early. They will be early and they'll want to get on and off it really fast. So this one could be about, women and working from home. Like, I don't know where this one's going to go. Nora, what would you like to accomplish on today's podcast?
Working on like how much do you like give and like receive some back, like as far as energy or just in like friendships, whatever. But how much do you give versus then hold back like weight, or the other person, or like, I don't know if that makes sense, or do you just keep giving because it's like, you know what, like I'm just gonna be a giver and just give? How do you
On that,
determine how to do
sorry.
that?
So I think that's the thing is people who are just givers, like I'm just a giver, like are they really being nice, or are they a part of the problem?
Right, so it's like that, or like how much of it is like God has given me a gift of giving, and so I want to use that and exercise it, and maybe the recipient has a bunch of stuff that they're working through, or they don't expect people to stick around just because, I mean, whatever, if they don't do perform or do XYZ, then people end up leaving. So they're just expecting you to leave, so they don't really put that much effort into it. Um, so like, when do you know how much to just, I mean, besides just asking God, I guess, and taking him, like letting him lead you on it, but is there another way that you can determine, like, okay, like I'm backing off now?
Great question. Elaine, your thoughts on this one?
I think it would determine on a lot of different nuances, I would say. Some of it would be if it was me looking at it, I would determine if I was doing something that would create questions of people thinking that I can just give and not receive or something like that.
Interesting. Rosanna?
I think that's a complicated question, but I think that the idea of balancing the giving and what are you actually, is the giving that you're giving actually helping the other person, or is it benefiting you more, or is it benefiting them more? So I just, that podcast, that one I just listened to, it was like, am I doing what I'm doing for me, or am I doing it for them? And what is it? What is the balance on it? So you just have to balance and say, hey, maybe it's not, maybe what I think I'm giving is I'm not really giving, I'm just doing it for me.
Well, Rosanna brings up a really good point where we think we're giving a couple things. One is we tend to overvalue our own strengths, undervalue our weaknesses, undervalue other people, what they're giving to us, overvalue what we're giving to them. So we just naturally, as human beings, thinks we're the one giving. It's just a natural human being thing. And so what I've observed about women is it seems to me that when they're giving, they think it's because they're nice and caring and loving. And it seems like they have a hard time realizing they're gaining benefit from giving. That's why they're giving. and then it's weird because there's a shift that seems to happen when after marriage. Like there's a shift. Like before marriage, a woman's one way, and then after marriage, a woman's a different way. If you were to say, Mark, do you think that happens in men? I'd say, I don't know. I guess so. In some men, I'm pretty sure it happens. I don't sense that happened with Rosanna, but I didn't date her that long. I mean, it was a couple years that we knew each other. So I don't feel that there was a shift, but that was quite a while ago. So I think Elaine's right where there's a lot of factors involved. And I think that one of the dangers of giving when somebody else isn't giving is that you burn yourself out. And eventually you're going to run out. And I'm not sure that's a godly thing. Well, just do it. I'm not sure that's a good thing because potentially what you're doing is enabling that person. And this is the thing that just drives me insane. And I don't remember ever having room where I could come up, well, Mark's going through a rough time, so it's okay for him to do this or this. Like I don't understand that mindset. Like why like if something's right or wrong, if something's good to do or bad to do, I don't know what going through a hard time in life has to do with anything. So I think often moms, wives, women give men way too much room, and then all of a sudden it runs out and they're just like, I'm done. Like I'm just done. Well, do you think you should have been done sooner? Like, and so I don't know. Katrina, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I can see what you're saying, but yeah, I don't know.
Nora, did any of that help or not so much?
I mean, yeah, I feel like maybe some of it's our fault too, to where, because I feel like I tend to be like that. Like I give and give and give, and then it's like, all right, now I'm done. And then it's just boom, done. Versus like, just like giving and then maybe not giving as much and like, kind of more of a slow, like slowing down, backing off slowly or whatever versus just like all in and then done. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it does. Tom Coons went and said, Mark, and he's only compared him and me together once in the 20 plus years we've known each other and been friends. He said, you and I are similar. And I said, how's that? He said, most people are quick start, quick stop, or slow start, slow stop. So people who tend to make quick decisions, yeah, I'm going to do this. They make equally quick decisions. I'm going to stop. Or people that make slow decisions to do something often make slow decisions to stop. And I knew that. And I said, yeah, that makes sense. And he says, but you and I are different, Mark. I'm like, how's that? He said, you and I make quick decisions to start and slow decisions to stop. Like we move very quickly to say yes to things. And then we go ahead and we just stick with it probably too long with situations, people, business, everything. We just don't give up. And so, like, I've noticed a pattern, especially not just with men, but mostly with men, mostly with white males, mostly Christian white males over 50. It seems like they can put up with me for about a year. And then after a year, they depart from me. they don't want to be around me any longer. And I think, is that good or is that bad?
I shouldn't be late.
And so I like,
So
I do
Mark,
wonder.
when you're a slow stop, do you like slow stop like all the way through, or is it like slow stop like you're persistent, like you still try and then it's just does it like continue to fizzle out, or does it then like slow stop but then stop and like stop, or does it still like?
I'm not saying this is good or healthy and recommended for anybody else, but Luke's a good example. Like, so, we're in business together, and he's like, what are, like, you and I aren't going to be in business long term together. We're just not, which was news to me. But I understood what he was saying. Like, he's expressed that, and he made that decision. I said, I haven't made that decision. Now, if he said, I'm done, yeah, I don't want to be in business, I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know that I would be relieved. So with me, I told him, I said, Luke, you might have made that decision, and that's up to you. So in sales, I saw salespeople early on in my career from 23 to 27. I saw them go through slow deaths. I hate slow deaths. I just hate it. I just hate it. And so for me, I told Luke, I said, I'm all in, buddy. You and I are going to be friends the rest of our life. We're going to be connected. Now that may change, and the relationship may change and everything there. But for me, Nora, I go ahead and all in all the way until the person taps out and says, I'm done with you. And I'm not saying that's a good or healthy thing. I mean, there's only one person in my life, ever in my life, that I tapped out on. And that one I might have should have done sooner. I don't know. It's a little, and so I think I stick with things and people too long, Nora. I think I just don't ever give up. I just think, all things are possible through Christ who strengthens me. I think, everybody can change. Everybody, all of a sudden, we're so close. They're so close. Like, I can see, like, we're so close to making a breakthrough. It's right there. And then it's not. And so Rosanna, so she and I have been married for 41 years. And so it's fascinating to me that when I ask Rosanna questions publicly and she gives an answer that makes me look good, people go ahead and I think they say, oh, she's just being nice, or, she's just saying that, she really doesn't mean it, or they don't understand the significance of what is even being said. And so does anybody else have anything else you want to cover on your voice in my headset?
What would you like to cover?
I don't know. I mean, like, one of the things that I'm working on is it almost seems like, and again, I have to be really careful because a lot of times audiences, they have people full of ego. And when I say something, they think Mark's full of ego. And I know that's what they're going to say. They're going to, yeah, he's full of himself. He's full of ego. And it's like, okay, I just roll my eyes and say, like, and so it seems like when I go into relationships, friendships, it's almost like I absorb all that friend's energy, and I'm so excited for about a year. Like Patrick, I talked to him, and right at about a year, there was this disconnect. Like, okay, it's not like we're angry. We're just, we're just not talking every day, and we don't talk deep and anything, which is fine. I don't care, whatever. But then it comes back again. And he said, after a month, couple months, 2-3 months, he came back. He said, I've really missed you a lot. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's fine. So it's almost like I get everything I can from that person, knowing that the relationship, the friendship might be done tomorrow. Most of the time, it's that person's choice. It's not my choice. It's their choice. They're making a choice. And I'm fine with it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand how you pour everything into friendships and then you just leave. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But that's pretty much mostly what everybody does. It's just weird to me. So it's almost like I wonder Elaine, if people have a ceiling on friendships, like they can only go up. They have a ceiling, they can only go up. Like if you put termites, I think termites jump or something, or gnats or something, and you put them in a glass and put cellophane at the top, and they'll try to jump out and they'll hit the cellophane. But after, I don't know, an hour, you take the cellophane off and they won't go any higher. It's almost like, and Elaine, you were talking, I don't know, last week, and maybe you give more details, but you're talking, like you said, it seems like some people can only have one deep friendship.
True. Yeah. That's the way it seems anyways.
What does that mean?
Well, to me, it means that you can try and connect with them. You can try and, get into their hearts or whatever, but it seems like they've closed it off and they tap into that one person. Like you can be around them, they tap into that one person. They don't share with you, or they don't want you to even share with them. Either what you're struggling with or your frustrations or anything like that. They don't communicate back and forth. It's like, I don't want to hear what you have going on. Like I've got one person and that's all I can deal with.
So it's fascinating with Mike. So Mike, went down to Florida. So he's a little older than me. I'm 62. I think he's 68. And, so he's been married over 40 years. So he and I have a lot of similarities, like he and Patrick and I do. And it's interesting because like I'm checking on, hey, how'd the surgery go? How you feeling? And all that kind of stuff. And he's always checking on me. How are you doing? I'm checking on him. He's pretty, and it's like, is that going to continue? So, I mean, I've given him the Mark Borisma for dummies, and I've warned him. I've said, hey, talk to these people, because here's a pattern that I see. The pattern I see is I go really deep and it's really intense friendships for a year, and then it's not. And so I don't think it has to be that way. But it's almost like so I'm curious, and again, you all can interrupt me at any time. Like when I get in these type of energy flows, who knows where it's going to go, right? And so if you guys want to interrupt, just interrupt and take it a different path. Just say, hey, what about this? So it doesn't have to go this way. So I'm curious, Rosanna, like I was playing pickleball and you came and sat down and watched. That never happens. Like really almost never happens. And so I was just curious, like why you did that.
Couple of reasons. One, I was watching your technique as you were trying to teach me some of those things. And the other was that you stopped and watched last week or whenever I was there again. And so it was kind of I'm going to do the same.
Fascinating. So in marriage counseling, sometimes they'll say, if your marriage is rocky, relationship is rocky, you go back and say, what did we do when we were dating and when we were first engaged or first married? And so like over in India, Yen, he had an arranged marriage. And I said, well, what about love? Like he had a choice. He didn't have to have an arranged marriage. He could have had arranged, or could have fallen in love. And I said, what about love? He said, well, my philosophy, Mark, is you can either fall in love and get married, or you can get married and fall in love. And that's not the American way of doing it. And so love is a choice, and friendship is a choice. And so a loving person, I don't think, is going to allow somebody else to take advantage of them. I don't think that's a loving person. And I think that...
All right. Sorry to interrupt. I have to go.
Yeah.
But I'll see you. I'll talk with you again at 2.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. And so I think a lot of times what we think is loving is not. And what we think is unloving is loving. And so I truly believe that for all of my friends, I care more about them as a person than I do about our friendship. And maybe that's wrong. I don't know. I I don't so for me, I'm willing to risk the friendship to go deeper with people. And it doesn't seem like, most people are willing to do that. And to me, I don't understand why. Because I would rather have one deep relationship than a whole bunch of surface relationships. And I'm such a fanatic, I'd rather have no friendships or relations, no friendships than to have just superficial ones. And so it's weird because every one of my surface relationships, I'm looking for opportunities to go deep with them. Anything else, Nora, you got?
Nope, I don't think so.
Elaine, anything else you got?
No.
Rosanna, anything else you got?
So I have an interesting question. How do you balance, I guess, frugality with giving because you want to make them happy?
I don't know if you should ever go ahead and give to make somebody happy. I don't know. I don't know. I think giving, I think giving, I think there's nothing wrong with making people happy. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's dangerous because they can get addicted to it. You can get addicted to the feeling. And so I think it can create entitlement. I think it can create an illusion of connection when there's really not. So I mean, giving is it a want? Is it a need? And so, is it like coffee where you have a spike of energy, or energy drinks or alcohol or anything? It's like, do you get this spike where you feel good and they feel good and you have all these feelings, but there's nothing of substance there? There's just not. So what you do is the next time you just go ahead and, when you and I just started first dating, and you brought up Snickers bars and some other candy bars up to Four Sons, and I was, at the checkout counter, and you gave it to me right in front of all your friends. And I just said, you said, here's a gift for you. We just started dating. We'd been friends for, I don't know, 5-6 months before that, whatever it was. But we just started dating. And I said, was that in your budget? And you said, no. I said, well, then I can't accept it. And you, like you were devastated, just devastated. And so I don't know.
So printing 12 copies of whatever I did was a similar thing.
Well, the 12 copies for, the pickleball people, if it doesn't cost anything, are you saying it did cost you?
No, you brought it out in an email about budget or something.
Yeah. So I think your tendency is to use money to buy appreciation, love, affection from people. And I don't think that's healthy for you or other people. I think in that situation, if it didn't cost us anything, okay, we're going to pay anyways, well, let's get something out of it. and let's bring value. So I gave it to 4, 5, 6 people today, and I'll probably give it to 4, 5, 6, 7 people tomorrow. So I think in that situation, it's fine. I think for you, and I think a lot of people that are similar personalities as you, I don't know. I think that people, the amiable personality has learned that I'm going to be nice on the surface to people. So they just learn that. Just tell people what they want to hear and be nice to people. Don't challenge them, just be nice. And so they have a lot of surface relationships. They don't have deep relationships. They don't know how. If you ask which of the 4 personalities best handles conflict, most would say the amiable, and that's not true. The amiable is best at avoiding conflict. And so I think deep friendships come from taking risks, from working hard, making sacrifices, and taking risks. I think, Nora, and going back to yours question, I think having conversations. I think like in that relationship one, Rosanna, that you went ahead and sent out. And Rosanna, why don't you send it to more people than just me?
You're kind of my, what do they call it?
Sounding board or
monitor.
Yeah.
Monitor. So I'm not sending things out that shouldn't be sent out.
Well, I mean, like that one would have been a great one to send out for the podcast, the friendship podcast. And you can send
The
it
one
out.
on love?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I watched that one right before this, and at grade 5 points, point 3, it said something about not having expectations. I think that's not, I'm not saying I disagree. I just have a different perspective. So I can have, if I care for somebody, I have expectations for them. I have expectations they're going to grow, they're going to change, they're going to become who they wanted to be. They're going to improve, they're going to take ownership, they're going to work hard, they're going to sacrifice. If I care for somebody, I'm going to expect, that's my expectation. I don't think that's bad. I'm expecting them to go ahead and be a human being and to become who they were created to be. And often it doesn't work. It doesn't seem like. And so I think when we have no expectations, yeah, we don't get disappointed. So like, I think I don't have any expectations, so I'm self-righteous. No, you're not. You're just selfish because you don't want to get hurt. So, I mean, so you can, and ask people, like, you don't need me. Like, you have a connection with, Elaine and Nora and others. You can say, hey, I run across Facebook post or whatever it is, and just ask them, or just send it out to 4 or 5 people or 6 and say, hey, I run across these periodically. And if you don't want to go and be included, just tell me. And so the social media stuff that you're forwarding to me is really good stuff. I mean, it's short, it's tight, it's profound, it's really good stuff. So I would include more people on that and get more people into the conversation and communication. So I think with your friends, I need to be careful so I don't mess up your friendships. I don't think you have to be careful about messing up any of my friendships. I mean, I can do that on my own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything else?
Yeah, I do have one thing. So I have a question on, if somebody asks you what you're struggling with and you share, but then about halfway through whatever one you're sharing, they either one acknowledge that, oh, that's just the phase of life you're in, da 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 da, or yeah, it'll be that way. Just, you'll be fine. Maybe not you'll be fine, but just find a person to share it with, and keep on top of it. And then later on, the conversation goes on, and later on, they're like, well, I think you're just looking into it too, like you're just looking in too far, too deep. How do you deal, like, how do you understand, or how do you, yeah, connect with that?
Well, you and I would be similar personalities. So you and I are going to be built similar. And so I just think, that person either can't or won't go into depth. They just won't. So they won't go ahead. So do they really want to know how you're doing? And
Right.
so,
And then there's things that you share, and then they're like, oh yeah, we had it this way too, but ours was, a little bit farther. At least you don't have that.
yeah, I mean, so they look to take over what it is. And so I don't know, do you go ahead and say, I don't know how to respond to that? Or like, I'm trying to, like, I don't know, do you just let it go? Most of the time, Elaine, I just let it go. To me, it seems like in most situations, it's easier for me to solve my problems on my own rather than get input from others.
Right. That's what I was thinking when that happened.
But then I go, well, that's kind of narrow. So I do have a number of people, a handful of people that I go ahead and, that I go ahead and connect with. So this is one of the groups, the white male over 50 on Wednesdays, another one. Alvin on, Thursdays, that's another one. Pickleball every day. So I'm developing connections within there and getting people to know me. And I'm I'm very transparent. I'm wondering if I'm too transparent with people. Um, so do you know what you'd ideally, and Nor, if you need to go, I know you got a bunch of stuff going today. So if you need to go, you can. Thank you for being on. Do you know, Elaine, what you'd ideally want that person to say?
No, not necessarily. I guess if you want me to share, then be open to hear me, but don't necessarily say you know what I'm going through, because you may not actually know what I'm going through. You may not have been in the same shoes.
Well, nobody's ever been through what anybody else has been through because different age, different gender, different experience, different personality, different season in life, so everything's different. So nobody's been through what we've been through. I think what you would like probably to hear, Elaine, is for like you say something to me and so you share it with me. I think most of the time, and nobody's been taught this, like I was never taught this, I just kind of figured it out. And it's like that's really interesting, Elaine. And then I might ask another detail, like what do you think about that, or why was that brought up, or so what, like you want somebody, like we know by and large, I think we may know how to solve every problem we have. We're just not asking the best questions. So if somebody can help draw a question out of us that's a better question, that helps us. But most people don't do that. And so I think what you want is maybe questions from the person, or maybe saying, Elaine, that's interesting. I'm going to give that some thought. And then you'd want them to actually bring it back up again. Like there's a, guy I play pickleball with, and, he's estranged from, his daughter. And that was a year ago that he told me, and I brought it up and I said, hey, are you still estranged from her? And he gave me more information. So like, it's almost like caring is like you bring things up. You're looking like how is this person functioning, and what are they having challenges on? Like it's crazy how many people I play pickleball with have said, how's your daughter and your new little baby grandson? How are they both? Like they really like they're asked, a lot of people are asking about. It's like pretty crazy. So I think, Elaine, that a lot of people, they don't know how to respond. And if we don't know how we'd like to have respond, so when I go through difficult times and people don't give me what I think I want or like or whatever, then I go ahead and say, well, what would I like? Well, I want this. Okay, this is what I think I'd like. Well, I wonder if other people want that. Probably. So not only do I use it to become self-aware about myself and what I want, but then I also say, I bet you other people would want that too. And then I say, okay, so how do I get that person? How do I get other people to respond like that to me? Like it goes racing back a year, with Nora. And I said, I love people, I just don't like them. And she said, you'll like me. And I'm like, we'll see. Like, she's just cocky, sassy. But I did. And people would ask her, how did you, how did you get Mark to like it? Because he doesn't like a lot of people. And one of the things she said, he's very intentional, and he tells you what he wants. Like, you don't have to guess with him. Like, you don't have to guess. He knows what he wants, and he'll tell you exactly what he wants. And you can either give it to him or not give it to him. Can you give it to him? If you can, well, give it to him. And if you can't, she didn't say all this. But that's what I'm like, yeah, dang, she's exactly right. Like, it's my responsibility to know what I want and get that from people. And if I'm not getting what I want from people, that's on me.
But
So
so
I either
okay,
need
so
to,
what if you're telling them what you want and they're just not paying attention?
I don't know, right?
Because
I don't know.
obviously there's a choice. Like, if they know that that's what you want and they're just choosing not to, like, that's a choice and that's fine. But what if you're trying to tell them what you want and they're just like either clueless or they're just not paying attention? Then what?
Right. That's the thing, Nora. I'm not that old. I'm hoping I'm going to learn that by the time I turn 7. Because that's the thing I've struggled with, like my dad. Like, he died when, what was it, 10 years ago? So I was probably 55. So 55 years of my life, I'm like, and he did try and I tried, but he could never give me what I wanted as a son. And I don't begrudge him that. Like, I don't think I can give my kids, most of my kids, I don't know that I can give them what they want. So the question comes to me, Nora, is it won't or can't? Like, if somebody's blind, you're not going to get angry with them for being blind. So, they're blind. That's what it is. So that's the thing I haven't figured out, Nora, is how do you know the difference between can't and won't? So there are some things, and Rosanna and I are pretty transparent, or I'm very transparent about me and about Rosanna and our marriage. So there are some things, and so she asked me a question the other day, and I said, she says, how can I do this with you for you? I'm like, I don't know that you can. And it was cool. She didn't get angry or ticked or mad at me. So if she really wants it, what's going to happen if she really wants it?
She's gonna work hard to be able to do that.
Yeah, she's going to come back and ask again and again and again. She will be relentless. She will be absolutely relentless and ask again and again and again. And that's what she'll do. And if she doesn't want it, she won't ask again, which again, I've kind of accepted. I don't know that she has the capacity to do what she's asking. So I'm not going to get my hopes up. There's not expectation. I'm going to say, I don't know that you can. I'm not going to create an illusion like, okay, you're providing this or doing this or whatever. And so
what if you know that they can because they've done it before, but so is that, well, they had the capacity then and just don't have it now, or like, how does that work?
right? I mean, just because of, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. So just because they did it before doesn't mean they can do it again. Doesn't mean they can do it on a consistent basis. So I don't know. I mean, that is one of the biggest questions that I have. And so 22 years ago, there was something that I didn't realize that I wanted or maybe needed. Like there was something that uh, somebody entered into our lives, my life, and I realized I either like it, like that a lot, like I like that a lot, or maybe I did need it. I don't know. And so after that person was out of our lives, I broke it down and I said, what are needs? What are wants? And I don't know that I still have clarity on that. But then I said, well, is this something that I need to be able to give myself? Is this something my wife can give me, my kids can give me, other friends can give me, God can give me? Is it something that I just am not going to have? And if I'm not going to have it, that's okay. I mean, I just need. So for me, see, I wonder, Nora, I really do. I really wonder if they wanted something in us and we gave it to them, and that's why they did it. And maybe what we gave them, maybe we continue to give it to them and they don't have to work for it. Or maybe they didn't like what we gave them. I mean, they liked it, but they're on to the next thing. So this is where I think, especially as a man, you better get this down. And that is, you do the right thing. I don't know what that is, so I have to work at that. So I go ahead and have a date night every week with my wife, not because something she gives me or because I want something. I do it because I think for me, that's a part of my responsibility as a husband. It's the right thing to do. Regardless of what she does, it's the right thing to do. And so with me, I look at what's the right thing to do. In friendships, there's, so there's things I think there's the right thing to do, and then there's something special. And I think so. I wonder if I go ahead and maybe others, like, I wonder if we don't make the thing special. Like I wonder if I give level 1 and 2 and 3 things that should only be given to level 4. Like there's no benefit to be like there's a so in the friendship video that Rosanna went ahead and gave, that was really, and it was from Socrates, I think, really interesting video. So that's hundreds of years ago. And he said there's 3 types of friendships, and so the first one is, fun. You're doing things with fun, and it's fun. Nothing wrong with it. It's just fun. And the other is an exchange. I'm going to give you something and you're going to give me something. And so it's in phase 2, and it's right here. Aristotle's 3 types of friendships. And so, level 2 friendship is, I'm going to give something to you and you're going to give me something back. And so we're going to give each other something and to get something. And then he said, the third one is to help the person help both become who they were created to be. And they said only one is real, which is fascinating. So Rosanna, the ones that, you're like, you gave, I think this one, no, that was Patrick, I think, that gave that one. Maybe he gave that one, but then that one, and then, this one here. So a lot of your stuff that's you're sharing is, getting on here because these are significant. Like, not a big fan of social media. I'm just not. So much wasted time. But these videos are so significant But the significance of them, I think, is in the conversation about them.
Right.
And so, this is where Life GPS, should they be put on Life GPS? Probably. And then you have conversations. And so, well, what does this mean? Am I doing this? I mean, this one here, when someone does you wrong, like when Ben and we went on vacation a year ago, not this last one, we went on a year ago, and he says, Dad, the couple handfuls of people that are no longer in your life and they don't want to be in your life. I mean, do you feel bad about that? Do you feel bad? And I said, I don't. He says, are you sure? And I said, yeah. Then I woke up the next morning and I said, I would like all of them to be in my life. I really would. Every single one of them. I would like them to be in my life. But I think they got locked. They're not growing. They're not changing. They're the same. There was something, it was a cartoon or meme or something that said, if you dropped them as friends in high school, don't friend them 20 years later in Facebook because they haven't changed. They're the same person they were in high school. And sadly, I think that's often the case. So this here, I mean, I was taking ownership of it. It's like, I know why they don't, because I tell them things they don't want to hear. And so the price to that is they're going to cut me out of their lives. And that's okay. And so anything else, Rosanna, you got?
I do not.
Anything else, Elaine, you got?
Nope.
I think these are really cool. Like the four of us getting together once a week to talk about friendship. And I'm glad that the three of you are sticking with it. And I think my hope is that, the three of you would have friendships like the three of you are to me. I want that same thing for the three of you. Whether you do a podcast, invite them on, have them listen to the rebroadcast, or I think when you have significant conversations with people, well, how's this? And what's this? And how's that? So always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye.